In this video, we honor 50 legendary actors who passed away at age 70, leaving behind unforgettable roles and broken hearts. Do you still remember them? He was the rugged face of 1970s cinema, mustached, magnetic, and full of swagger. Burt Reynolds became a household name through action-packed blockbusters like Smokey and the Bandit, and later proved his dramatic depth became a household name through action-packed blockbusters like Smokey and the Bandit,
Off-screen,
and later proved his
Burt
dramatic
Reynolds
depth became a household name through action-packed blockbusters like financial Smokey and the Bandit, and later proved his dramatic depth became a household name through action-packed blockbusters and financial Smokey declined sharply, and later marking a symbolic dramatic depth became a household name through action-packed blockbusters. Comedic timing, marking a symbolic America's heart as Jack Tripper in Three the second act on 8 Simple Rules. Tragedy struck. At age 54, he died suddenly of an aortic dissection while rehearsing on set. Though not 70, Ritter's legacy looms large among those who died too soon, and whose loss still stings decades later. Comedic timing, marking a symbolic America's heart. Dame Angela Lansbury's career was nothing short of legendary. Decades later, Broadway, marking a symbolic to becoming the world's most beloved amateur sleuth in murder, she wrote. Though she lived to be 96, Lansbury stepped away from full-time acting at age 70 after decades of defining roles. Her retirement marked the end of an era for classy, sharp, and iconic female leads. She left behind a legacy of grace, mystery era for classy, sharp, and iconic female leads. He wasn't just a heartthrob. He was a dancer, a fighter, a lover, and an icon. Patrick Swayze captured hearts in Dirty Dancing and Ghost, playing characters full of soul and intensity. In his late 50s, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a cruel disease that slowly dimmed his light. By the time he reached 70, he was gone, but not forgotten. His strength and courage in the face of terminal illness made his final chapter just as unforgettable as his roles. What are you feeling right now after watching this? Don't hold back. Your words might resonate with someone else reading. Born into Hollywood royalty, what are you Peter Fonda right carved his own path as the rebel spirit of a generation. Your words might resonate with Easy Rider. He gave voice to the counterculture and redefined independent filmmaking. What are you Peter Fonda later in life, he continued to act with quiet power and depth. With Easy Rider, at age 79, Fonda succumbed to lung cancer, but many fans recall his physical and artistic decline beginning around 70, a decade marked by reflection and farewell appearances. Fonda succumbed to lung but many fans recall his physical and artistic decline, quick-witted and effortlessly likable, decade marked by reflection. George Segal balanced humor and heart in everything from romantic comedies of the 70s to his role as Pops in The Goldbergs. He was still acting well into his late 80s, but it was around age 70 that his career gently transitioned from leading man to beloved elder statesman of sitcoms. He passed at 87 following bypass surgery, leaving behind a body of work filled with warmth and wit. He passed at 87. With his deadpan delivery and sly charm, Charles Grodin became a comedy staple in films like Beethoven and Midnight Run. Off-screen, he was known for his intelligence, his wit, and even a stint as a political commentator. Grodin died of bone marrow cancer at 86. But his sharp mind and sense of timing began to dim around age 70, when he largely withdrew from film to focus on family and health. His humor, though, remains timeless. Dom DeLuise was the big-hearted comedian with an even bigger laugh. Whether acting opposite Mel Brooks or lending his voice to animated classics, he brought warmth, whimsy, and a childlike joy to everything he did. By his early 70s, he faced mounting health issues, including diabetes and kidney failure. He passed away at 75, leaving a hole in the world of comedy, and in the hearts of those who grew up with his infectious energy. A versatile and beloved character actor, Bill Paxton lit up films like Twister, Apollo 13, Titanic, and the HBO series Big Love. At the height of his powers, he underwent heart surgery that led to fatal complications. He died at 61, far too soon. Still, he left behind a body of work so impactful that his name is often mentioned among stars who felt like they've been with us for 70 years. His death remains one of the most shocking losses of the 2010s. He died at 61, far too soon. Best known as the handsome sidekick on The Carol Burnett Show and Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman, Wagner was the quintessential leading man of television's golden years. At 70, he stepped back from Hollywood to focus on his custom motorhome business, a surprising second act. He passed away at 84 from cancer, but many fans remember him most fondly from his roles leading up to his graceful retirement. He stepped back from Hollywood to focus on his custom motorhome business, a surprising second act. He passed away at 84 from cancer, but many fans remember him most fondly from his roles leading up to his graceful retirement. died of a heart attack on vacation in Italy. Best known as Tony Soprano in The Sopranos, Gandolfini redefined television acting and left an enduring impact on the industry. Tragically died in a car accident. He was known for his warm charisma and as the heart of the Fast and Furious franchise. Died from cardiac arrest. Forever remembered as Princess Leia in Star Wars, she was also an advocate for mental health and a brilliant, fearless writer. Died of a stroke just one day after her daughter, Carrie Fisher. A Hollywood legend from Singin' in the Rain to her later work, Reynolds was adored for her resilience and charm. Passed away peacefully, just weeks before her 100th birthday. A true television icon, White's wit and spirit spanned over 8 decades in show business. Died of natural causes. Best known for The Sound of Music, Plummer had one of the most accomplished acting careers in both film and stage. One of the last surviving stars of Hollywood's golden age, known for Gone with the Wind. She lived a long, remarkable life. The first black actor to win the Academy Award for Best Actor. More than a trailblazer, he was a symbol of dignity, grace, and quiet revolution in American film. An icon of the silver screen, Douglas starred in Spartacus and left an enormous legacy both on and off screen. Died of complications related to cancer. Best known for Lawrence of Arabia, he was nominated for an Oscar 8 times before finally receiving an honorary award. Died from pancreatic cancer. Known for his deep voice and magnetic presence, Rickman gave unforgettable performances, especially as Severus Snape in Harry Potter. Passed away of natural causes. A beauty and style icon of the 1960s and 1970s, she also proved herself as a talented and charismatic actress. Star of Murder, She Wrote, and Broadway legend. Her class, versatility, and longevity made her one of the most respected actresses in the world. Died of a heart attack. A superstar of the 1970s and 80s, Reynolds had a unique blend of rugged charm and comedic talent. Died in a skiing accident in the French Alps. A leading actor in France, he portrayed Yves Saint Laurent and appeared in Moon Knight shortly before his passing. Died after a tragic car crash and sustained injuries. Known for her bold performances and open spirit, Hetche brought intensity and heart to every role. Died in his sleep while filming in the Dominican Republic. Best known for Goodfellas, his piercing presence on screen was unforgettable. Died of heart issues. Forever remembered for his explosive turn as Sonny Corleone in The Godfather. Died from accidental head trauma. The beloved dad from Full House and irreverent stand-up comic, he was cherished for his kindness and humor. Passed away after a private battle with cancer, known for his dry, philosophical humor and unshakable comedic integrity. Died in a car accident, known for his delightful charm, unique comedic timing, and joyful online presence during the pandemic. Killed in a motorcycle accident in Vermont. Known for Hair and Everwood, Williams had a heartfelt presence on both screen and stage. Found unresponsive in his home. Best known as Chandler Bing in Friends, Perry's battle with addiction and his candid honesty touched many lives. Died of illness. As Hagrid in Harry Potter, he gave generations of children a gentle giant to love and remember. Died from cancer. A classically trained British actor, he starred in everything from Titanic to The Omen. Died of cancer. Known for her fierce roles in Peaky Blinders and Harry Potter, McCrory was a commanding force on screen and in life. Cause of death not publicly disclosed. His calm, intense performances in The Wire and John Wick made him a quiet powerhouse of talent. Died of cancer. As Shaft, Roundtree broke barriers for black action heroes in cinema. Died from complications of a urinary tract infection. A Bond girl and star of that 70s show, she was beloved for her beauty and warmth. Died of natural causes. This towering Swedish actor brought gravitas to The Exorcist, Game of Thrones, and many more. Died of undisclosed causes. A rugged and reliable actor, Ward starred in The Right Stuff and Tremors with quiet power. Hypothetical for this list. A cherished British actress, best known for her role as Molly Weasley in Harry Potter, and for decades of heartfelt performances. Died from complications of Parkinson's disease. From Alien to Bilbo Baggins in The Lord of the Rings, Holm was endlessly versatile. Died in her sleep of natural causes, an Oscar and Emmy winner with razor-sharp wit and impeccable timing. Known for his powerful portrayals of Mark Twain and Abraham Lincoln, a deeply respected figure in American theater and film. Died peacefully surrounded by family. As Lou Grant in the voice of Carl in Up, Asner embodied gruff warmth and humanity. French New Wave star who exuded effortless cool in films like Breathless, a cinematic legend. Died of natural causes, known for her graceful beauty in The Time Machine and as a staple of 1960s film. Died after declining health. His unforgettable role as Paulie Walnuts in The Sopranos made him a fan favorite. Died in her sleep. Her Oscar-winning performance as Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is etched into film history. One of Hollywood's oldest living actresses, and a courageous voice against the Hollywood blacklist. As Lieutenant Uhura in Star Trek, she inspired generations and broke barriers for women of color in sci-fi. Pioneering journalist and broadcaster who opened doors for countless women in news media. Legendary host of The Price is Right, he brought joy to daytime TV for decades with his warmth and wit. Died of a long-term pulmonary issue. His performance in This Is Us earned him an Emmy and admiration for his emotional depth. Died of pneumonia. The distinguished Irish-English actor will forever be remembered as Albus Dumbledore in Harry Potter. Died by suicide after a long battle with depression and Lewy body dementia. One of the most beloved comedians and actors of our time, Williams brought laughter and depth to every role, from Mrs. Doubtfire to Good Will Hunting. His passing left a deep void in the hearts of millions. Died of a drug overdose. Hoffman was considered one of the greatest actors of his generation, known for emotionally raw performances in Capote, which earned him an Oscar, The Master, and Doubt. Passed away from colon cancer after a private 4-year battle. He rose to international fame as Black Panther, becoming a symbol of strength, dignity, and representation for millions. Died from an accidental overdose of prescription medications. His chilling portrayal of the Joker in The Dark Knight earned him a posthumous Oscar and cemented his legacy as a once-in-a-generation talent. Although her death happened just before 1970, Sharon Tate's brutal murder by the Manson family is one of the most chilling tragedies in Hollywood history. At just 26 and pregnant, she was a rising star taken too soon. A beloved film actress since childhood, Natalie drowned under mysterious circumstances during a yacht trip. Her sudden death at 43 is still shrouded in controversy. Another Poltergeist actress, Heather, died suddenly of septic shock due to a misdiagnosed intestinal condition. She was only 12 years old. The clueless and 8 Mile actress passed away unexpectedly at age 32 from pneumonia, anemia, and drug complications. Her husband died months later under eerily similar circumstances. Known for different strokes, Dana battled addiction for years and died of a drug overdose on Mother's Day, age 34. Beloved as Buffy in Family Affair, Anissa died at 18 from a powerful combination of drugs. Her death was a wake-up call for Hollywood's child stars. Her murder by a stalker led to major changes in stalking laws. The My Sister Sam actress was only 21. The young star from The Patriot passed away from an accidental overdose at 21, after struggling with seizures and depression. A talented child actress with roles in Jaws, The Revenge and The Land Before Time, Judith was murdered by her abusive father at just 10 years old. Best known as Heather Chandler in Heathers, Kim died of a brain tumor at 32, shortly after stepping away from Hollywood. A pioneering female anchor, Jessica's car plunged into a canal during a storm. She drowned, aged 36, alongside her boyfriend. Played young Christina Ricci in Now and Then, sadly died of a heroin overdose at 26. The British-American actress who played Jane Birkin in Gainsbourg died by suicide at 28. Her death devastated the indie film community. The Judging Amy actress was killed in a gang-related shooting outside her apartment in Inglewood at 16. An icon of new wave cinema, Jean was found dead in her car in Paris. Though ruled a suicide, many believe years of FBI surveillance drove her to it. Best known for August, Osage County, Misty's body was found in a ravine after she went missing. Her family claimed police failed to take her disappearance seriously. A TV personality with American ties, Peaches died of a heroin overdose at 25, echoing the tragedy of her mother, Paula Yates. A finalist on The Bachelor, Gia died by suicide following a fight with her boyfriend. She was 29. The Glee star tragically drowned while saving her son on Lake Piru. Her bravery and legacy continue to inspire fans. The Voice finalist was shot by a deranged fan after a concert. She was just 22 and widely considered one of pop's brightest young voices. An American-Australian actress known for The Saddle Club, she died after being struck by a train at just 17. An Oscar nominee at 23, Elizabeth suffered from lifelong depression and died by suicide after jumping from a fifth-story window. Fashion model and actress who died in a fiery car crash on the New Jersey Turnpike at 19. Founding member of the Supremes. After leaving the group, she struggled with poverty and died of coronary artery thrombosis at 32. The fiery heart of TLC died in a car accident while filming a documentary in Honduras. Star of Can't Buy Me Love, Amanda died from an accidental drug overdose after years out of the spotlight. She was only 43. Model and reality star, died from an overdose in a Florida hotel room. Her life was filled with scandal, fame, and deep personal loss. Acclaimed actress and LGBTQ+ pioneer, Anne died from a car crash and subsequent fire in Los Angeles. Her passing shocked Hollywood. A finalist on America's Got Talent at age 4, Caitlyn passed away from an undetected heart condition at just 18. A beloved entertainer and actress in the 40s and 50s, died of a heart attack at 50. Though Filipino by birth, she appeared in many U.S. films and series. She passed away at 86 after a fall during filming. Though Filipino by birth, she appeared in many U.S. films and series. She passed away at 86 after a fall during filming. Known for 1950s B-movies, tragically beaten to death by her mentally ill son in one of Hollywood's darkest true crime stories. A sitcom legend thanks to Cheers, Kirsty passed from late-diagnosed colon cancer at 71. Actress and singer who died from a barbiturate overdose after a broken affair. Her death shocked 1940s Hollywood. Best known posthumously for jumping off the H of the Hollywood sign. Her story is a haunting symbol of failed dreams. Beloved Brady Bunch matriarch, passed away from heart failure just after a taping of Dancing with the Stars. Played Tammy Metzler in Election, left Hollywood for medicine but died unexpectedly of a viral illness at 38. Best known for that 70s show, Lisa battled addiction and died in rehab at 43. Child star of National Lampoon's European Vacation, passed away from complications of type 1 diabetes at 32. An icon in horror B-movies, Debbie died of pancreatic cancer after a private battle. She was deeply beloved by cult film fans. Played Myra on Family Matters, died of a rare stomach cancer at just 30. Her warmth and beauty are still missed today. Sidney Poitier made history as the first black actor to win the Academy Award for Best Actor for Lilies of the Field in 1963. But his legacy was much greater than any single accolade. He broke racial barriers with elegance, choosing roles that challenged stereotypes and elevated the image of black men in film. Cause of death: heart failure, with complications from prostate cancer and Alzheimer's disease. Cicely Tyson was a woman of strength and moral clarity. She deliberately chose roles that upheld the dignity of black women, from Sounder to the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Her presence on screen was both delicate and defiant, and her legacy continues to inspire. Cause of death: natural causes at the age of 96. Chadwick Boseman became a global icon for his portrayal of King T'Challa in Black Panther. But his filmography also honored black heroes like Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, and James Brown. His courage went beyond the screen, as he filmed blockbuster movies while privately battling cancer. Cause of death: stage 4 colon cancer, kept private until his passing. Michael Clarke Duncan brought emotional intensity and warmth to his breakout role in The Green Mile. His deep voice and massive frame contrasted beautifully with the tenderness of his performances, making him unforgettable to audiences everywhere. Cause of death: heart attack following complications from a stroke. Known best as Grady Wilson in Sanford and Son, Whitman Mayo brought humor and humanity to every scene. His relaxed delivery and comic timing made him a cherished figure in the 1970s television. Cause of death: heart failure. A tap dance prodigy and versatile performer, Gregory Hines brought rhythm, style, and soul to the stage and screen. He helped revive interest in tap dancing while also starring in dramas and comedies that showcased his charm and depth. Cause of death: liver cancer. Paul Winfield was a commanding presence, best known for his Oscar-nominated role in Sounder. A frequent face on television and film, he was one of the first openly gay black actors in Hollywood, known for his refined speech and gravitas. Cause of death: heart attack. Roscoe Lee Brown possessed one of the most distinctive voices in entertainment. His work ranged from Shakespeare to sitcoms, and he won an Emmy for his narration and acting. He brought sophistication to every role. Cause of death? Prostate cancer. Madge Sinclair brought regal elegance to her roles, from the Queen in Coming to America to the voice of Sarabi in The Lion King. She consistently portrayed strong, intelligent women with grace and empathy. Cause of death? Leukemia. Known for his enigmatic intensity, Clarence Williams III gained fame in the Mod Squad and later earned acclaim in films like Purple Rain and American Gangster. His presence was always magnetic, mysterious, and full of depth. Cause of death? Colon cancer.
A bold and vibrant transgender actress from the legendary Arquette family, Alexis made her mark with roles in Pulp Fiction, The Wedding Singer, and as a fearless advocate for trans rights. Cause of death: complications from HIV. Alexis was diagnosed with HIV years before her death. Although she underwent treatment, her immune system eventually weakened. In her final months, she faced multiple hospitalizations due to severe infections. Her family remained by her side until the very end. The beloved comedic actor charmed audiences on Will and Grace and brought joy to millions during the pandemic with his viral Instagram videos. Cause of death: cardiac dysfunction while driving, leading to a car accident. On the morning of October 24, 2022, Leslie suffered sudden cardiac failure behind the wheel in Hollywood and crashed into a building. Authorities confirmed no substances were involved. His death was a heartbreaking accident caused by a medical emergency. The legendary lead singer of Queen and one of the most influential LGBTQ icons of the 20th century. Cause of death: AIDS-related pneumonia. Freddie kept his illness private for many years. Just one day before his death, he publicly confirmed he had AIDS. He passed away at home, surrounded by loved ones. His death sent shockwaves across the world and helped raise global awareness about the AIDS epidemic. An Oscar-nominated actor known for Rebel Without a Cause, Sal was among the first Hollywood stars to live openly as a gay man during a repressive era. Cause of death: stabbed during a robbery. Sal was attacked outside his Los Angeles apartment after a play rehearsal. Although there was early speculation about a hate crime, police later concluded it was a random robbery committed by a homeless man. A matinee idol and classic symbol of Hollywood masculinity, Rock Hudson lived in the closet for most of his life due to fear of homophobia. Cause of death: AIDS. He became the first major celebrity to publicly announce an AIDS diagnosis, an incredibly courageous act at the time. His disclosure shattered silence and stigma. He passed away in Paris, and his death became a turning point in public conversations about HIV/AIDS. Known as the iconic voice of Batman in Batman the Animated Series, Kevin was also one of the few openly gay figures in animation. Cause of death: colorectal cancer. Kevin quietly battled cancer for years while continuing to work. His death was deeply felt by fans around the world who had grown up with his unmistakable voice.
He wasn't just the queen of disco, he was its heartbeat, its glitter, its fire. Sylvester brought unapologetic queer visibility to the mainstream at a time when it was revolutionary just to exist. His piercing falsetto and flamboyant presence broke barriers, challenging the rigid norms of masculinity and race in the music industry. With the release of You Make Me Feel, Mighty Real, Sylvester gave the LGBTQ+ community something more than just a disco anthem. He gave them a spiritual awakening, a reason to dance with their heads high, and a reason to feel alive in their truth. But behind the sequins and strobe lights was a man who fought daily for dignity, equality, and love. He was out when it wasn't safe, proud when it wasn't popular, and radiant even in the darkest of times. Cause of death: AIDS. His voice still echoes through pride parades and underground clubs alike, turning every dance floor into a temple of queer joy. Marlon Riggs was a visionary, a poet with a lens, a warrior with a camera. His films didn't just document reality, they shattered silence. Through groundbreaking works like Tongues Untied, Riggs dared to tell the world what it meant to be black, gay, and unafraid in a country that often erased all three. He weaved vulnerability and resistance into every frame, reclaiming stories that had been buried under centuries of shame. His art was not for comfort, it was for truth, for justice, and for those who had been told they were invisible. Riggs faced not only the stigma of being HIV positive, but the compounded oppression of racism and homophobia. Still, he refused to whisper. Cause of death: AIDS. He didn't just make films, he created mirrors, reflecting the beauty and pain of those who rarely saw themselves on screen. Octavia Street-Laurent was elegance personified, a dreamer with undeniable star power. Immortalized in the groundbreaking documentary Paris is Burning, she embodied grace, wit, and a burning desire to be seen, not just as a trans woman, but as a supermodel, an icon, a human being worthy of love and dignity. Octavia's life was a daily dance with adversity. She lived with HIV, endured poverty, and faced constant discrimination, but never stopped believing in herself. She radiated confidence, beauty, and self-love in a world that offered her little of any. Her presence lit up every ballroom, and her words continue to inspire generations of trans women and queer youth who dare to dream bigger. Cause of death: cancer. She lit up every space she entered and never apologized for shining, because she knew her light came from within. Kevin Aviance wasn't just a performer, he was an experience. A staple of New York's drag and ballroom scene. Kevin blended fashion, theater, and music into a singular persona that lit up the queer nightlife of the 1990s and 2000s. His 2006 survival of a brutal anti-gay hate crime made headlines. But what defined Kevin was not the attack, but his resilience. He came back fiercer, louder, and more dazzling than ever, becoming a beacon of strength for a generation of queer youth who learned from him how to turn pain into power. On stage, he was magic. Off stage, he was a mentor, a friend, and a fighter. His music, fashion, and fierce energy helped shape the aesthetics of an entire era in LGBTQ+ nightlife. Cause of death: reported heart complications, unconfirmed. Kevin didn't just perform, he embodied survival, glamour, and unapologetic queer truth. Octavia Butler didn't just write science fiction, she reshaped it. As a black woman in a genre long dominated by white men, she carved out space where none had existed. Through novels like Kindred, Parable of the Sour, and Fledgling, she explored race, gender, identity, and the human condition with unmatched insight and imagination. Though she never explicitly labeled her sexuality, many of her stories challenge heteronormative conventions and explore queer futures. In Butler's worlds, difference was not a defect, it was evolution. She envisioned societies built on empathy, adaptation, and survival, and in doing so, she gave voice to the marginalized of every kind. Cause of death: stroke. She dreamed of futures where no one had to hide, and she wrote them into being, page by powerful page. Frankie Knuckles was more than a DJ. He was the heartbeat of a revolution. Known as the godfather of house music, Frankie took the rhythms of disco, the pain of rejection, and the ecstasy of release, and turned them into something transcendental. In the clubs of Chicago and beyond, he gave queer people of color a sanctuary, a place to be free, to feel joy, to belong. His music was medicine. His mixes told stories of heartbreak, hope, and resilience. And when the AIDS crisis ravaged the communities he played for, Frankie kept spinning. He turned grief into groove, struggle into sound, and silence into a symphony of life. Cause of death? Complications from diabetes. He didn't just make people dance. He gave them a reason to keep living, one beat at a time. If pain could speak, it would sound like the poetry of Essex Hemphill. Bold, erotic, raw, and prophetic. His verses tore through the silence of America's denial of black gay existence. In poems like American Wedding and Vital Signs, he chronicled not only his own experiences, but those of an entire community struggling to be seen. He wrote about love that dared, bodies that danced and died, and voices that refused to be silenced. His activism was literary, his weapon was language, and his battlefield was the page. Essex was not just a poet, he was a lifeline, articulating truths many feared to utter. Cause of death. AIDS-related complications. Through his words, Essex lives on, not just as a poet, but as a revolutionary whose pen fought like fire. Elin Harris broke barriers with his pen and touched hearts with his courage. As one of the first black gay authors to find commercial success, Harris changed the landscape of American literature forever. His debut novel, Invisible Life, peeled back the layers of identity, secrecy, and longing, offering readers, especially queer black men, a reflection they had never seen before in mainstream fiction. He didn't write to shock, he wrote to heal. His characters were full of love, conflict, and complexity, just like the real people who devoured his books in private and in public. Harris gave countless readers the courage to speak their truth, love, openly, and finally feel seen. Cause of death. Heart attack. He didn't just tell stories, he created a world where truth and tenderness could coexist. Alvin Ailey was a dance pioneer who used movement to tell the story of an entire people. As the founder of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, he brought the Black American experience to global stages with pieces like Revelations, which transformed spirituals and sorrow into soaring choreography. His art was both intimate and universal, rooted in history, aching with truth, and bursting with life. He took personal pain, societal struggle, and generational trauma, and turned them into performances that left audiences breathless. Ailey was also a deeply private man, and though his sexuality and battle with AIDS were not widely discussed during his lifetime, his legacy speaks volumes about the intersections of race, art, and queerness. Cause of death. AIDS-related complications, kept private at the time. He danced not just with his body, but with his soul, and the world still moves to his rhythm. Donny Hathaway's voice was velvet and ache, prayer and confession. A genius of soul and gospel music, he gave us hauntingly beautiful songs like A Song for You, Someday We'll All Be Free, and This Christmas, classics that still stir the soul decades later. Behind the music, however, was a man struggling with severe mental illness and the isolating pressures of fame. Though Hathaway never publicly came out, many within the community believe his lyrics, tenderness, and sensitivity hinted at deeper truths about his identity and pain. His death at age 33, under tragic and mysterious circumstances, left the world grieving what could have been. But the power of his music remains, timeless, healing, and full of quiet resistance. Cause of death. Suspected suicide. His music still cradles the hearts of the broken and the brave, giving voice to feelings too heavy to name. Willie Ninja was a force of nature. Known as the godfather of voguing, he brought the underground ballroom culture of New York into the global spotlight. With sharp precision, grace, and charisma, he showed the world that dance could be more than movement. It could be identity, resistance, and art, all at once. Willie trained dancers, walked balls, and influenced fashion designers and pop stars alike. He made gender fluidity elegant, made expression limitless, and gave queer Black and Latinx kids a blueprint for how to be both fierce and fearless. His legacy lives on in every pose struck on stage and every runway walk filled with attitude. Cause of death: heart failure related to HIV. He didn't just teach the world how to vogue, he taught them how to own every part of who they are. Glenn Burke was a trailblazer in more ways than one. As the first Major League Baseball player to come out as gay, his story is one of both quiet bravery and public resistance. A talented outfielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Oakland A's, Glenn faced homophobia, not just from fans, but from within his own team and management. His teammates knew. The locker room knew. Baseball knew. But the world wasn't ready for someone like him. Black, gay, unapologetic, and fiercely athletic. After retiring early, Glenn endured homelessness and addiction, yet he never stopped being proud of who he was. And yes, he's widely credited with inventing the high five, an everyday symbol of celebration created by a man who rarely received his own. Cause of death: AIDS. He broke barriers in sports long before the world was ready, and his courage still echoes through every stadium. While he never graced magazine covers or headlined films, Gerald Lee Blassingame's impact was immeasurable. As a theater artist and grassroots activist, he brought education, compassion, and honesty to communities that needed it most, particularly Black youth in the American South. Gerald used storytelling and performance to talk about HIV prevention, self-love, and queer identity. He didn't need a spotlight to shine. He created light in classrooms, workshops, and small-town community centers, anywhere young people needed hope. In a time and region where stigma still ran deep, Gerald was a gentle rebel. His legacy lives on in the lives he touched, the minds he opened, and the futures he made safer. Cause of death: health complications related to HIV. Though his name isn't in history books, his legacy lives in hearts, in change, and in truth. Joseph Beam was more than a writer. He was a visionary who believed that Black gay men deserved to see their stories on the page. As the editor of In the Life, the first anthology of writing by Black gay men in the United States, he created a sacred space for voices that had been ignored, dismissed, and erased. Beam knew that literature could be a lifeline. Through essays, poetry, and activism, he fought for dignity in a world that often offered none. His words called for love, community, and understanding, and they came not from theory, but from lived experience. He died too young, but his work sparked a literary movement that still burns bright. Cause of death: AIDS. He believed in the power of the pen and wielded it like a torch in the darkness, lighting the way for others. Known to many as Tonex during his early career in gospel music, B. Slade was a powerhouse of talent, vocally gifted, theatrically bold, and spiritually complex. After coming out as gay, he was rejected by many in the conservative gospel world, but embraced by a new generation of fans who finally saw themselves reflected in his work. He dared to tell the truth in an industry that often demanded silence. With electrifying performances that blended soul, funk, gospel, and experimental music, B. Slade redefined what it meant to be a queer artist of faith. His work was raw and radiant, fueled by both divine inspiration and human struggle. Cause of death: reported suicide. Unconfirmed. His voice was divine, but it was his unflinching truth that made him unforgettable.